Welcome! In this video, we will look at the graphics control and the use of masks with the PowerBasic Windows Compiler. Today, we're going to look at using the graphics control in the PowerBasic Windows Compiler to place overlapping bitmaps on a graphics background. So what we're starting with here is a completely blank PowerBasic Windows application. What we'll do first is we will create a form. Just a small, simple form. And on that form, we will set it to have a caption, assist menu, and we will set it to be centered on the screen. And we will place the graphics control on the form. As so. Right, that's all we need the forms designer for. If we save that now, and come back into our code. Now, as you'll see, the forms designer has actually put quite a lot of code in there for us. It's added in the resource file. It's included in the Windows API include file, common controls, and the PB forms. And if we look down to the PB main, it's calling our dialog we have just created. Now we'll hit the F2 button, and we'll get rid of the other one. There we go, get rid of that. Now back to F2 and have a look at the event handler, the callback function for the dialog. Now what we're going to do in here is in the initialize part of our event handler, we're going to create a new function and we're going to call it from in here. And we want to pass a couple of parameters to this function. First being the handle of the dialog, and the second, the handle of our graphics control. Now, graphics control, if we have a look at the dialog itself, is this one here. It's added the graphic with this handle. So we will just put that as one of our parameters. And we will create our new function down at the bottom of the code. I'll just put variables in for these. I've already created a graphics folder, and in here I've put some graphics. 3 bitmaps, A, B, and C, and a mask. We'll come back to the mask later, but what we're going to be trying to do is to place these 3 bitmaps as hexagons onto our graphics. In our function, we'll want to set up some variables. First being the file handle, because we're going to be opening these files, and we'll want to pick up both the width and the height of our graphics. Now, as it happens in this case, all our graphics are exactly the same height, so all we have to do is to bring up one of them. And I'll just paste in the rest of the variables we're going to be using, and we'll cover them as we get to them. Now, the first thing we have to decide is where our graphics are going to appear on the graphics control. The graphics control does its coordinates from the top left-hand corner, being 0, 0. So we'll have our X and our Y start as being about 50 in from the top and 50 in from the left. No particular reason for the starting point, but we have to start somewhere. Now, the first thing we have to do, since we have already created the graphics control on screen, is we have to attach to it. And we already have the handle of the dialog and the handle of the graphics control. Now we're going to use the redraw option on the graphic attach. What we wanted to do here is we want to perform a number of operations upon the graphics control, but only display them to the user on the screen when we've finished doing all our drawing. This vastly speeds up the speed of the graphics control and displays everything to the user at the one time. Also do a clear on the graphics control and make the background grey. Now, as we saw from the bitmaps earlier, we have 3 bitmaps, A, B, and C, and a mask. All these graphics are exactly the same size, so we're just going to use the mask one to pick up its size, basically 77 by 68. So first of all, we will populate a variable with the path to our graphics. Using the exepath command. Now what we want to do is actually to open up that file. Now what we're doing here is we're opening the file up, the mask file, as binary, and we're reading 2 values out of that file. This is to pick up the width and the height of our image. Now, since we created the image, we should know already how big the image actually is. But using this method, it means you can actually accept graphics coming in which you don't necessarily know the size of. This is a good way of finding them out. If you have a look at the help, you will find that the get statement here has 2 uses, in random access files and in binary files. Now we're using the binary files, and what we're specifically looking to do is to pick up the values within that file. Now the first parameter we give it is the record position, which is the starting byte or seek position from where the get begins. So this starts at 19 and the second one starts at 23. And what it does, it basically pulls the information in to fill up the variable we specified. A very neat way of finding out how big a bitmap is. So having determined the size of a bitmap, we can actually then attempt to load the bitmap. Now we're going to load this into memory, and we're going to put it into a variable. And this will be the pointer to where in memory this is actually stored. So since we know the size and the height, and we'll put that straight towards our bitmap mask variable. Now, having done that, we want to display it onto the screen. Now we'll come back to the bitmask. What we're going to do now is we're going to point towards the first of our bitmaps, a bitmap, and we'll want to load that just exactly as we did up here. And we'll load it to a definite variable, and we'll put it straight towards H bitmap. Now, having actually got that loaded, all we'll want to do is we'll want to copy this bitmap from its area in memory onto the graphics control. Right, having done that, so what we're doing here is we're specifying the bitmap to load. We're loading that bitmap into memory with this handle, using the graphics copy command to copy the data that's at that memory location onto our graphics control at this position on screen. Now, having finished with our graphics, what we want to do is to free up the memory that was used in loading the graphic. and then do a graphics redraw so that we display what's been done in memory onto the screen. Now let's just try compiling that to make sure we have missed anything. Yes, I've missed out a variable. And there we go. There is our A bitmap on the screen. Now as you'll see, we just want the hexagonal part, the green part on the screen. We don't want the black borders. But it's just taken the straightforward square bitmap and slotted it straight onto screen. Well, that's fine. Let's go on to the B bitmap then. Now, as we're going to be doing a lot of this loading and displaying the bitmaps, we'll do this into a function, just to make it easier. And we'll pass all the parameters we need to the function. So we're passing the handle of the graphic control, the X and Y starting coordinates, the bitmap we're actually doing, the width and height of the bitmap, and the mask we're actually using. So effectively we can put in our call like so, which means we don't need these 2 lines of code. Right, so let's try that, and in the control, what we want to put in is a local variable for our bitmap. We want to do the bitmap load, just as we did before, and we will copy our bitmap straight onto screen, like so. So we just test that. It does exactly what we want. But we're doing it in a little function now, so the code will be easier to read. So having done the first bitmap, let's do the second bitmap, the B bitmap. So we'll change it to B. Now we just left the code as it is, it would overwrite the first bitmap. What we want to do is we want to change its starting location. So what we'll do is we will move it further down the screen. So we will adjust the Y start coordinate, and we'll add 40 pixels onto it. And if we run that now, there is our second bitmap on screen. So far so good. We still have the white borders, but we'll come back to them. Now we attempted to put our C bitmap so it slots in there between the A and B, as you'd expect from a hexagonal. We'll do the same logic. So we'll want to amend the coordinates on that. So we'll want our X start to be slightly bigger. So we'll say we'll add 36 onto that. And we'll want the Y start to be slightly smaller. So we'll take away 20, which is half of the 40 we had for the map. Now if we try running that now, the graphics are appearing where we've asked it to. But as you'll see, the black border around the C hexagon is actually overlapping on top of the A and B, which is not ideal for what we want to do. So the trick is, how can we use a mask to get just the green area of the hexagon appearing on the map? So what we need to do, since we've already loaded our mask, and as you'll see from our code, our mask is entirely black in the hexagon, and white where it's black over there, completely opposite. So what we're going to do is, in our drawing command, we're going to copy this out for the moment. And we're going to do this, but we're going to do it on the bitmap mask. and we're going to add an optional parameter. Mix mask source. Now, we're not drawing the A, B, and the C bitmaps, we're just drawing the bitmap mask. If we try running that now, you'll see that this is effectively only displaying the black area of the mask. The white areas, which we had in our bitmaps, have completely gone. So having prepared the ground by putting the mask in first, all we have to do to get our specific graphics in place is to do the kind we had before, but again, another optional parameter. A mix merge source. Now if we run this one now, you'll see that our three hexagons actually appear correctly. The borders are not there, and the hexagons are quite happily not overwritten each other, regardless of the order in which they've been drawn. We drew the A, the B, then the C, and the corners on the C do not overlap anything that's on the A. This shows a very easy way of using the graphics copy command to put shapes onto the screen which can be overlapping and effectively have transparent backgrounds. To see how this can be done on a larger scale and at speed, this is a small project quite separate to my tutorials I've been working on. If we have a look at this one, this is using this exact technique to display hexagons on the screen. And allows you to display a map quite convincingly. Well, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you for watching.